Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm going to be doing another video today about some stuff that you could expect to be asked during a marriage-based green card interview. I've done other videos on these topics, so if you're new to my channel, be sure to check those out. And I just haven't done one in a while, so I thought I would do an updated one for the middle of 2023. If you're new to my channel, I'm Puyan Darian. I'm an attorney focused on family-based immigration law, and I'm here to talk to you about the green card interview. I want to start this video by saying your green card interview might not be anything like this, and it's quite common for people to have vastly differing experiences at the green card interview. It could be an easy conversation where one immigration officer is just talking to both of you in a casual tone, bouncing from person to the other, not asking you super directed questions. Or it could be very serious where the officer says like, "Sir, don't look at your wife when I ask you this. What is her date of birth?" Or other questions like that, which we're gonna be doing a deep dive into some examples of during this video. You should always be prepared to answer questions you might not know the answer to at these interviews. So what I like to do with clients, and sometimes I'm hired during a consultation just to practice for the green card interview, I like to practice answering questions that you might not know the answer to. How to answer a question that you just don't know the answer to without being afraid of telling the immigration officer that you just don't know and why you don't know the answer to that question. So some things that are quite common across the board throughout the United States at these immigration interviews are questions about each other's families. You can be asked, what are the names of your spouse's parents or siblings? How many siblings does he or she have? And what the relationship of your spouse is like with those siblings. Sometimes the siblings might be abroad, sometimes they might be in the United States. Let's say you've visited your spouse's home country and you've visited their families. You might be expected to answer some questions about those families. So the first thing is be prepared to answer specific questions about each other's lives and each other's families and each other's relationships with other family members and friends. Another common group of questions I see regularly asked are about your history with your spouse, what the timeline looks like. When did you meet? Where did you meet? And by the way, the answer to this is oftentimes we met on a dating app. So don't be afraid to say that. That's perfectly fine. A lot of people are meeting that way. And if it's the truth, that's what you should be telling the immigration officer. Other questions could be about, whether or not your spouse has been divorced or not. And if your spouse has been married before, one or more times, you might be asked, why did they get divorced? What happened? Do you know what happened? Because the immigration officers, in my experience, expect you to have spoken about these things. They expect married couples to talk about prior relationships and be able to answer questions about things like that. A common group of questions that you might receive during one of these interviews is about each spouse's responsibilities and maybe how you share your assets and your lives together. Do you have a joint bank account? If so, do you use that joint bank account for certain types of expenses, but not other types of expenses? By the way, if you do have a joint bank account, it's probably a good idea to submit bank statements from that account. Up front, when you apply for the green card with your evidence package, you would include whatever statements you have, and then down the road, if you're scheduled for a green card interview, you would bring updated statements. Be prepared to answer questions about some major purchases you've made. Also, other responsibilities in your household, like who takes out the garbage? You might actually specifically be asked, what day of the week does garbage collection come in your area? And your answer might be, I don't know. My husband takes out the garbage. I have no idea. I don't touch garbage. So it doesn't really matter what your answers are as long as they're based on your lives together and as long as they're completely truthful. One question I see asked with some regularity is about your daily routines. And this can take many different forms. One thing I've seen specifically asked is, who woke up first this morning? Do you guys sleep on the same side of the bed every night? After you woke up, who cooked breakfast? What did you guys eat for breakfast? What does your spouse normally do? Drink coffee first or have breakfast? After that, what happens? Who goes to work? What time does your spouse normally come home from work? When is the last time your spouse took a vacation or a day off from work? What did you guys do for your spouse's birthday last week? Daily routines and just lifestyle habits can take many different forms. Who goes to sleep first? Do you guys follow the same nighttime routine every night? Do you guys watch TV at night? If so, what shows do you guys watch? Do you follow the same routine or do you change it up? Again, it's really hard to prepare for these questions, so as I'm gonna say multiple times, the important thing is to just be truthful, and if you don't know the answer, you can always say, I don't know, and explain why you don't know, or you don't understand the question, or you just don't remember. That's perfectly okay too. I would way rather you say, I honestly don't remember, I'm nervous, than to just make something up that might be true and also might not be true. Because misrepresenting yourself at these interviews is one of the easiest ways to get your case denied or to trigger another interview, which would be a Stokes interview where they screen you guys more heavily for fraud and they separate the two spouses. When I prepare with my clients for these interviews, I'm really trying to avoid a second interview at all costs. The last thing I'm gonna talk about is just documentation to support the fact that you're in a good faith marriage. And I've done multiple videos on this, so I'm just gonna go over some of the things and generally summarize. So some evidence I like to submit in addition to photographs, and by the way, photographs should be like group photographs, primarily photographs of you guys doing things, going on vacations, trips, with family and friends. Not just you guys taking some selfies on a couch, because anyone can do that, even if they're not in a good faith marriage. In addition to photographs, evidence of financial commingling. So like I mentioned before, bank statements, you guys can have joint credit card account. You guys can have health insurance policies together, life insurance policies, car insurance jointly. Maybe you filed your taxes together. If so, I would bring copies of your income tax returns. Some people are on a family plan for their cell phone. If so, even if it's only in one spouse's name, just print out your statements for the last 12 months and bring them with you, highlight each spouse's phone numbers on the statements, and submit them to the immigration officer. Other things could include evidence that you guys are actually living together, so a joint apartment lease, or if you own a home together, a deed or mortgage documents showing both spouses are on there. If you both have driver's licenses showing that you live at the same address, I would bring those driver's licenses and make a photocopy with both licenses on one page and submit that photocopy to the immigration officer. Other things, if you bought your car together, the title of the car. Evidence of travel is really great evidence to submit, because in each trip, you'll have photographs, you might have flight itineraries showing both spouses took the trip together, you might have hotel receipts, you might have other receipts from stuff you did. If you went to Disney World, that by itself will generate all sorts of evidence. These are just some examples of documents you can have. What I like to do during an initial consultation with clients is screen them and create a detailed list of all the evidence that we should gather and submit, and it's all specific to how you guys are living your lives together. All right, guys, that's it for today's video. If you're new to my channel, just check out my video history, because I've made several videos on this topic where I do a deeper dive into different things that I've discussed in this specific video, and it might give you more ideas on how to strengthen your specific case. Lately, If you're able to submit enough evidence, there is some chance that immigration will not actually interview you guys. If you give them an overabundance of evidence of your good faith marriage, there might not even be a need for a spouse interview. This isn't a likely outcome. It's sometimes hit or miss. I've had two separate clients who've both submitted a ton of evidence. One had an interview, one didn't. So there is somewhat of an element of luck involved, but you definitely want to make your case as strong as possible from the beginning. Otherwise, you can also receive a request for evidence asking for more evidence while your case is pending, and that'll just delay the process by at least several months. If you're new to this process and you need an immigration attorney to assist you or guide you through the process or fully represent you, I'm always available to do this throughout the entire United States. You could always book a consultation directly through my website, or you can call or text us. And as always, guys, be sure to log in every week for a new immigration video.